Hey guys, Your Games here again. This is going to be what if Yujiro Hanma trained Grey Yeon. Grey Yeon's from the webtoon Weak Hero, and then Yujiro Hanma is from the anime and manga Baki, or Baki the Grappler, whatever you watch. I don't really care. But, yeah. So, this may be a little weird because no one really no one really reads Weak Hero unless, like, someone tells them to, or they just look at it, but I haven't really met anyone in person that reads it, or seen many people outside of. Yeah, I've never met anyone that reads Weak Hero. I've seen a few, but not really anyone I'm close with, so to say. So yeah, now basically, Yujiro Hanma, well, he trained Gray when Gray takes the 2 months off of school when Stefan is put in coma. Gray takes 6 months off because he's depressed, and first week, Gray wanders around wanting to get stronger. Well, Yujiro would see Gray's pathetic attempt at training on the playground. Yujiro approaches Gray, and Gray would notice this gigantic hunk of muscle. I'm going to check it real quick. So, Yujiro's about 6'2", so Gray sees this hulking figure standing over him, and Gray is immediately intimidated. Gray is usually emotionless, and, well, not unless he's around Steven or Bryce, but he doesn't notice that Yujiro actually intimidates him, just off of sight. Yujiro began laughing at Gray, saying, "If that's what you call training, you're pathetic." Gray immediately just says to Yujiro, "Fuck off," but Yujiro slaps him across the face and just starts thinking to himself, "Baki already failed. I beat him too many times. How about I create a monster of my own?" Gray realizes he's almost unconscious because, well, he thought he was slapped. No, he was flicked. And Gray stands up, wobbling over until Yujiro holds him in place, saying, "How about this, kid? I'm going to turn you into a monster. Now, you can either use this to your own benefit, or you can beat me, which will be unlikely because I will weak you look." He actually asks Gray to punch him, and Gray does punch him. Yujiro didn't even feel a thing. Honestly, he didn't even feel like he got poked. He looks at Gray, asking if Gray went all out, and Gray's holding his throbbing hand. And Yujiro inside, realizing Gray truly is weaker than a normal child. So he begins making Gray train over and over and over daily for almost 8 hours a day. And after the first week of Gray getting over that, it bumped up to 13 hours a day. Now by the time 2 months are up, Gray already got bigger, he got taller, ate different, and, well, fought different. Now, let's fact check something else real quick. So, the main martial arts that I got from looking at Yujiro's wiki page from different sites would include boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, taekwondo, karate, and kung fu. Those are the martial arts that I was able to see, at least. And street fighting as well. But yeah, those are the martial arts that Yujiro would teach Gray, at least the basics of them. And Yujiro will tell how fast, just Gray's picking those up insanely fast. And he can tell that, Gray may not have any talent for getting muscle, but he's a natural prodigy in terms of brains. So he's picking all this up insanely fast to the point where, in the last month, he's already able to pick up more advanced techniques. He's rising through belt ranks, or his weight classes, like insane speeds. Point where Gray's already purple belt in 1 month, in jiu-jitsu at least. With other belts from different martial arts, he's already halfway through. And Gray went from being around 5'4" to being around 5'8", on the same height as Big Ben. And physically, he'd dominate Big Ben like it's nothing. Now, Gray physically doesn't look pretty intimidating, but in reality, his physical appearance looks just like Big Ben. Just looks like Gray, just as tall and as muscular as Big Ben. So yeah. And Yujiro does take a look at Gray's physical body. It's just to say that Gray's muscles are probably not going to form a demon back, but instead, his muscles would probably just grow to the size or just look different than any average human. Yeah, so we're going to go to when Gray returns to his middle school, or his first high school. When he returns, everyone noticed that Gray's hair is a little bit longer, and it goes down to around his cheek. Goes down to around his chin, like it hangs down there. But one thing everyone else notices, he's huge. And, he's also pretty muscular. Now, Bryce, also in this group, already noticed this, and they're immediately intimidated by Gray. Now, Yujiro gave Gray a big confidence boost. So what Gray does is he walks right up to Oswald, and Oswald's response is, "What the hell do you want?" And to everyone's shock, He puts Oswald's head through the door and then through a multitude of walls. By the time he's done, Oswald is barely even clinging on to life. And Bryce is pissing himself as we speak. Not just an expression, he's quite literally doing it. Gray looks at him, dashes towards him, and almost punches him out the window. But he grabs his foot and throws him through a wall, and then Gray proceeds to walk to the principal's office. Now they're already rehearsing what Gray did to the two, and while Bryce and Oswald's henchman passed out just from fear. That's what Gray thinks he's doing, when Gray says, "If you've even tried to expel me, I'll leak every single secret we have with Oswald's father." But Gray being thinking, but never mind. I'll leak them regardless. But I fucking hate the school. He walks out, and the principal yells, "Well, you're expelled." And Gray says, "And you're arrested." He's able to file, and he turns into the police station. School shut down, principal and vice principal are arrested, Oswald's father is arrested, and so Oswald is put into a hospital. And then juvenile detention alongside Bryce and his henchmen. Well, then the government compensates Stefan's family, and they ask, the family would ask why they're doing this, and they say, turns out Stefan had a pretty good friend who exposed the people that did this. Parents immediately thought of Gray, and his parents can't help but cry, but they just let Stefan do stuff to move hospitals, but not just because the hospital can afford to take care of him. It was moved to an even better hospital. In US dollars, Stefan's parents inherited a few $100,000, almost millions. So yeah. Now Gray's next school, due to him having basically excessive violence and assault on his record. Not much schools will take him, but with his genius intellect, and the reason for his assault and other attacks being known, no one really cares. So he's offered a few places by a few schools, some of them even being elite. But Gray is sick of the elite schools, knowing how kids acted as last one, so he's going to try a low-ranking school, that being Yujiro. He enrolls, and Donald he did hear about the incident, and heard about how this kid handled everything after almost committing murder. Donald nods his eye on Gray Yeon, but it's shocking he enrolls in the not middle school, in Yujiro High School. So then when Gray's there, everyone can already tell that Gray is not something to be messed with. And unlike how he first meets Colton Choi, Colton is intimidated by him. But some guys are like, the guy thinks he's hot shit. Should we gang up on him? Gray's haircut is how it is normally. It's just he's muscular and taller. Colton chuckles, saying, "I bet that bastard thinks he's top dog because he's freakishly big and just slightly muscular." So the guy's like, "Yeah, sure, let's gang up on him." Colton walks up to Gray, grabbing his head and slamming down on his desk. But Gray's head doesn't budge. In response, Gray stands up and headbutts Colton Choi to the point where he's just spitting out blood. Gray, like I said, he has a personality shift. He's brutal, but only if you started something with him, or he has unfinished business with you. Looks at Colton's guys, asking, or not the guys, but the ones that encourage Colton to fight, asking if they want to fight. They have numbers, so they try to gang up on Gray, but in response, they're both thrown out the window. They're not pretty high up in the building, because, let's say that they're not pretty high up, so he just throws them both through windows, and then they're down. So now, eventually, we go throughout the rest of the day. Gray's in the lunchroom, eating his food, and everyone's eyeing him down. But eventually, Eugene does sit next to Gray, because Gray allowed it. Eugene kind of stood over Gray, and Gray just says, "You want to sit down, go ahead." Now, Ben Park and Big Ben, Gerard, and Alex were going to question him, like apparently Colton and some other guys in Class 1 were thrown through windows. They asked some members of Class 1 about it, and they say, "Oh yeah, the guy named Gray Yeon, he should be at lunch right now." And immediately they point out who Gray Yeon is. So, as they identify it, Big Ben does notice that Gray's around his size, same muscle mass, but obviously, he's a monster. He looks a lot different than, a normal fighter. Now, Gray does notice Big Ben staring at him, so in response, he throws a spoon right by Big Ben's head, and to everyone's shock, Big Ben's cheek is cut. Now, Ben knows, if a spoon can do that, Gray threw a spoon like that and cut him, Gray is someone special. Gray says, if you want to say something or fight, say it. I already hate this school, and I've been in too many fights on day one. Ben says, "No, I think you're cool as hell. Mind if we sit with you?" He looks at Gerard, saying, "Geez, you're fucking giraffe." Go ahead, sit down. They nod, and that already forms their group. Now, Big Ben does actually offer Gray a fight because they want to know how strong Gray is, and Gray disagrees. They send him to the middle lunchroom, and faster than anyone can even see, Big Ben suddenly falls to the ground. Well, not everyone, but the experienced fighters at the table that Gray was sitting at, they saw how fast the kick was. They were barely able to see it. Big Ben got a very swift kick to the temple and passed out. Gray caught him and put him back in his seat. And Alex Go couldn't even do a thing because he doesn't know if he tried, he'd get treated even worse than Big Ben. So now we go to, I guess, a little bit toward where Gray would go into the underpass. As we're going to the underpass, he does see Royce. Who's that other guy? I forgot his name. The fat guy with like the orange mullet. Royce, which is Philip Kim's cousin, and Colton Choi and his henchman. So as Gray's passing by, Royce would grab Gray and go to punch him in the face. All at the moment, his fist would get within an inch of Gray's face. His arm is grabbed, and Gray squeezes full force and breaks it. Now, Royce immediately begins panicking and screaming, kind of like how Boruto was when Ishiki broke his arm. In response, Gray just looks at them, and, Big Ben wanted to rematch with Gray, because he didn't know what happened. He thought, no one saw the kick, except for Alex and, for Alex and Gerard, and they didn't really but they didn't want to tell Big Ben what happened. But they keep watching as Gray then proceeds to decimate Colton Choi and his group. And Philip Kim was kind of curious, so he watched. As well, Royce was abused severely, and then so was everyone else. Colton Choi is coughing up blood everywhere, and can barely even breathe. Ray laughs, saying, my master wouldn't even pity you. He pitied me. I was even more pathetic than you guys. Proceeds to quickly kick Royce in the face, completely knocking him out, and he proceeds to walk off. If y'all had heard from Gray mainly, my master. But immediately as Gray turned the corner, he jumped up as high as possible and ran off. He was able to grab a car, pull himself up on an underpass and ran off at full speed. And he's faster than Gerard by yards and miles. He didn't know they were following him and didn't want to go train with Yujiro, so he went off as fast as possible. Someone followed him. So he gets to Yujiro and Gray's hobbies consist of just training and studying. For one day, he'll go to the cram school. The next day, train. Cram school next day. Train the next day. The weekends are his chill days. Because Gray, being smarter than Yujiro at some points, does say it's important for him to have some days off. He does say that Friday, he'll train with Yujiro, and then attend a bit of cram school. Then he'll chill the rest of the day. And Yujiro's like, alright then, whatever. I don't really care. I'm traveling most of the time. So yeah, Yujiro only stays in Korea on the weekdays because he's actually very, very curious with Gray, because he grows in strength too fast to be normal. He's only teaching Gray the basics of martial arts until he masters them. And Gray proceeds to keep learning these martial arts from Yujiro. And the next day, Gray attends school, and Gerard, being the fastest one in the group, is actually able to see Gray run by, but didn't follow him. Instead, he waits in Gray's classroom, and they've been talking. Now, Gerard doesn't want to race Gray, and Gray says during lunch they'll race. Now Philip Kim walks into class, and just Gray and Gerard and Yujiro will tell he's shaking. He puts the chair in front of Gray's desk, sits down, saying, "Now you beat up my cousin at the underpass." And along will Colton Choi and his men. Currently they're all in the hospital. And now either once you pay their medical bills or apologize. One of the two. Gray stands up and grabs Philip Kim by his face, saying, "How about this? Either I kill you, or I put you in the hospital with them. Choose." Philip Kim says, "I've crushed cocky bastards like you before, I'll do it again." And Gray then says, so he chosen death. As we have Big Ben walks in, he sees Philip Kim on the ground, covered in blood, barely even breathing. Like I said before, Gray is brutal. Gray done is he slammed his head against the whiteboard multiple times until someone had to pull him off. It didn't work, but he saw that he was going overboard, so he let them pull him off. And it was just Eugene and Gerard. They couldn't even move him an inch. Yeah, so Big Ben asked Gerard what happened, and that's when Gerard says, Gray gave Philip Kim a choice: die or be put in the hospital. And I guess he chose both, because either he's going to die in the hospital, or he's going to be there for a very long time. But just like that, Gray kind of conquered, well, his classroom. He's the king of it. And Teddy Jin happened to be watching this happen. And he didn't want to get on the wrong side of Gray, because he instantly called Gray the top dog of the school. Because everyone had heard about the stare down between Big Ben and Gray, and no one really seemed to kick. Well, they say that Big Ben might have passed out from fear. So, he thinks of Gray as the top dog. Pause real quick. So, we have Gray, who would just, be ranked number 1. And, Gray, he kind of gets bored, but does realize the hierarchy of the school. And next day, he approaches Big Ben, who actually does have kind of like a lot of bandages on his head, because he went to the doctor after being kicked in the head by Gray. And he did know it was a kick. Like, he actually, he had a recognize the feeling, and he remembers started coming back to him of just being kicked in the head. So to the doctor, he got a bandage because he had a concussion. He only requested a bandage, didn't know how to treat it, but the doctor just listened to him because he was pretty angry when they said no. But yeah, eventually he says that they should form a group with the strongest fighters of Yujang. Because he did hear about the Union from Donald Na, saying he was curious about the leader of the Union. But Gray just says that, considering how strong Yujiro is, they're of no concern to him. And, well, Gray seems to be a pretty accurate person who measured power, and Yujiro just chooses to believe him, because he's pretty good as well, and can acknowledge Gray as someone who could sense it just as well. Well, Gray just says he'll handle it himself, and he can take over Korea. Well, he can be the strongest in Korea. And Yujiro then laughs, saying, anytime I come here, that title belongs to me. Gray just nods, saying, per usual. Honestly, if Yujiro did leave, Gray would take the title of the strongest in Korea. He can beat Donald Na pretty easily. So now I guess we go to just Philip Kim calling Donald Na. So Philip Kim, with a little ability he has to speak, would call Donald Na, not Donald Na, I mean Jimmy Bay. And Jimmy Bay is one of his men outside on the underpass. So after a few days, Gray Yeon walks into the underpass, seeing Philip Kim and his guys. Not Philip Kim, I mean Jimmy Bay's guys. Jimmy Bay's not there, just Jack Kang, Helmet, the other miscellaneous characters. But no, Gray, since he formed a group with everyone else, he's looking for someone else strong. And Eugene's part of their group because he has the shuttle patch rankings. So, yeah, Eugene kind of is just there as their numbers. And Gray is still pretty smart, so smarter than usual. But yeah. So Gray would actually begin kind of training Big Ben and Alex Go, because they have said they want to beat Gray. So Gray begins teaching them boxing, because he does tell Yujiro he may skip some days to train his friends, because they want to be strong as him, or be stronger, which is unlikely, but he'll train them regardless. Well, George just begins training with Gray to learn a bit of Taekwondo for kicks, really. Not like as a joke like that for kicks, but no, he wants to learn the Taekwondo, karate, kung fu kicks. And Gray did take a bit of martial arts that isn't revolving around the stuff Yujiro teaches him. If he has spare time on the weekends, he'll just learn kickboxing and capoeira from the internet. But yeah, so now back to Gray. So at the underpass, Big Ben took his bandages off, does realize it's going to be a fight, and will Teddy Jin begin following them because he did hear about them forming a group. So as Teddy Jin would run up to them, he saw that Helmet was stepping up first, and Gray ignored Helmet completely and turned around looking at Teddy Jin, asking what he wants. Teddy Jin would say he's one of the top fighters at Yujang, and he was paid by Philip Kim. But Gray just said, how about this? If you're one of the top fighters, take down a few guys in there. If I like them, you can be part of our group. Teddy Jin does as Gray asked, and immediately take down a few guys, coincidentally leaving Helmet and Jack Kang up. He looked at Alex, saying, I can sense the tension between you and the... What's the idiot's name right over there? Pointing past Helmet. And Big Ben says, that's Jack Kang. Yeon says, no, I sense the tension between you and Jack Kang, so you can go fight him using your new boxing techniques. And immediately Alex gets in the boxing formation while using his new speed, rushes in front of him, and begins giving him the business like no one else. I think right now, if this Alex fought Jimmy Bay from a year or two ago, it'd be a pretty one-sided fight. But Jimmy Bay would still get a few good hits in. At this point, him and Jimmy Bay would be equals. But yeah, so eventually Jack Kang passes out just from being too beaten up. And now Helmut's all that's left, realizing he's the weak link between all of them. But he looks at Gray, trying to just be intimidating. In reality, his head is kicked right into the cement wall, or cement tunnel, and he passes out. Gray look at Teddy Jin, saying, "You're pretty impressive. You can be part of our group, but you're the weakest link. You're gonna need some training." That's when Teddy points at Eugene, saying, "Is he stronger?" And Gray says, "He's not a fighter. He's just kind of like our analytics, and he doesn't know the decent places with food. Plus, he's just nice." Eugene nods, saying, "Okay then." But they proceed walking off, and then now we go over to, I guess, just the main fight with Jimmy Bay. Teddy Jin would not be a bully to Gray, because Gray scares the living hell out of him. So yeah, Gray continues training his friends, and well, during lunch breaks they go to the roof as Gray claimed the area as his own. And like he put a time on the door during lunch break, like, yeah, if you come up here, Gray Yeon will kill you. So now his friends train up there, and it's their new hangout spot. Only the friends of Big Ben, Alex, and well, Gray and Eugene and Teddy they only have those guys as friends. So it's kind of specific to them only. And does teach them martial arts up there. And eventually, Gray does say that Eugene cannot participate in martial arts because, well, he's the one with the lowest grades. Pause real quick. So, Gray doesn't allow Eugene to participate in the martial art training because, well, Big Ben, his one condition that Gray gave to him is, "I'll train you on condition you raise your grades." So, Big Ben occasionally attended cram school with Gray and did get his grades up a decent amount. He's average, while Eugene was the lowest. So Gray said until he gets his grades up to be above Big Ben, then he can participate. So, since instead of training, he goes to cram school, but him and Gray talk on the phone while Gray trains everyone else. And, well, Eugene also kind of does the FaceTime thing as they train as well. So, yeah. Now, eventually when it's Jimmy Bay's posse versus Gray Yeon's posse, he thought Big Ben was the leader until, like, Jack Kang's like, well, apparently Big Ben got defeated by the newbie, and now Big Ben is, like, his right-hand man. Now, first when, like, Jimmy Bay would approach their school, let's call down Gray Yeon. But before he does it look. At the roof, they're learning serious martial arts. Then realizes why Gray beat Big Ben. Physically, he's already a monster, but then he knows martial arts. He seems to be a master at it, so that may be the main reason he lost. Which doesn't seem unlikely, so, yeah. But as soon as Jimmy Bay calls out Gray Yeon, Gray jumped down off the roof and landed. To everyone's shock, he's completely fine. And Jimmy Bay off that could really tell he's dealing with a monster. So now when Jimmy Bay would go for a punch, Gray Yeon just slaps him across the face and he went flying. And Jimmy Bay's already almost unconscious. Gray wobbles up, saying, "What the fuck was that? What kind of dirty trick were you pulling on me?" Gray says, "Nothing. I just slapped the hell out of you." Jimmy Bay proceeds to attack Gray, and Big Ben jumps down as well, but kind of just lands and catches by himself on a windowsill, pretty high up, and lands on his feet. Pretty okay. And then so does everyone else. Well, not Teddy. He's completely normal so far. Just knows martial arts. Yeah, so Teddy Jin sticks kickboxing and regular boxing mainly, while Big Ben is learning everything Gray offers to teach him, while Alex is learning boxing and jiu-jitsu. He thinks it's a little more fun. Well, Big Ben's specialty actually happens to be judo and, well, shockingly not boxing. Judo and karate, mainly specifically Kyokushin karate, those seem to be his specialties. So yeah. So Big Ben walks up to Jimmy Bay, and Jimmy Bay would go for a punch. But Big Ben would catch his fist, and then say, "Come back tomorrow when you're somewhat healed." And he proceeds to flick Jimmy Bay in the head, full force, and Jimmy Bay basically being almost unconscious already. He already passes out. Well, then Jack Kang would rush at Big Ben, attacking him. Though Big Ben gets in basic Kyokushin karate stance, and well, Big Ben proceeds to be punched in the chest full force by Jack Kang, but isn't affected. Well, then Teddy Jin just roundhouse kicks him across the face, knocking him out. And then the rest of Jimmy Bay's guys are dropped pretty easily. But the next day, well, Jimmy Bay listened to what Big Ben said. He's basically completely healed, just a few bruises, but those weren't stopping him. Jinbei immediately ran at Big Ben, hoping to fight him, and it was during lunchtime. So he tried to stop him, but Big Ben's like, it doesn't matter, he'll fight him. Jinbei proceeded to fight Big Ben, as Big Ben was in a Kyokushin karate stance, and wasn't being affected whatsoever. So he just launched one final and full force punch right to Jinbei's gut, and Jinbei felt like he got punched to heaven, and then his pain sent him right back down. So he falls over, unconscious, and throwing up while asleep. So Ray just laughs at Jinbei, saying, "Was that really it?" And, well, that's when Big Ben says, "Yeah, Jinbei used to be equals until Big Ben met Gray." And Gray says, "No, I guarantee if you fought him without my training, you would have won." Which isn't inaccurate. So, pause real quick. The next arc would be Hyung-shin, so like Force Lee and all them. So now, basically, Donald Nah did hear about Jinbei's defeat and did call a union meeting. So they're kind of curious about like what happened to Jinbei, because Jinbei is completely covered in bruises and bandages. Everyone thought that Jinbei was going to kick out of the union when Donald Nah said, "Anyone out there in the world in Korea, specifically at Yujang, may even beat me, but I don't know yet because, well, the time he's fought, he has his henchmen do it for them, and he's already beat them." That's about his henchmen, and they say Big Ben or Ben Park, then Alex Go, Gerard Jin, and Teddy Jin. Now they're immediately impressed by Gray, but Donald doesn't know his name because he's never fought him until Jinbei just say his name's Gray Yeon. Apparently he's a master martial artist because he does train everyone else in forms of martial arts. And he does say that the martial arts he recognized from Ben Park would be Kyokushin karate. So yeah. Pause real quick. So Donald does say like, "Oh yeah, if you ever encounter them, Jinbei doesn't announce. Yeah, he knows. Big Ben knows Kyokushin karate. They say that anyone else on Gray Yeon's posse plus Gray himself, they're to be ganged up on by at least 2 schools and the leader. And then the nearest school being Hyung-shin and Gangak. They say that those two, if any of the students see Gray Yeon or anyone, attack on sight, but be wary." They agree, and Force Lee launches a full-out attack on Yujang students. And so does Force Lee does announce it, and then so does Wolf Kim. She's growling to my stomach. I'm hungry, but I'm also fat, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. So now, Gray. Well, we got word of this from just random people who followed him on Instagram, not Insta. So people call him on Instagram because Big Ben recommended that Gray use it because he could find some interesting martial arts on there. Because Gray does say he craves a challenge for once in his life besides his master. And at this point, Gray did spend a few weeks at Yujang, training his friends, and getting stronger martial arts in general. So with that, he still trained with Yujiro, and Yujiro was able to get Gray to master Jiu-Jitsu, and basically become the best boxer in all of Korea. And it's not completely wrong. At this point, if he fought Donald Nah would be wiped out in seconds. It's not even funny. So yeah. Now, Gray. On Instagram, he's kind of followed by Wolf Kim and Force Lee. And Force Lee does actually see some of Gray's martial art highlights, because that's what all Gray really posts. It's a picture of him and his friends, and both martial art highlights. And it does show pictures of his friends doing some martial arts. And one video that catches all of them off guard is Gray going to kick like a punching bag, but he misses. Everyone thinks it's kind of funny, until they realize that the punching bag suddenly is cut in half. Donald watched this and immediately kind of felt inferior, but then he started digging into Gray's more private life. There's realized about his record. I was also shocked that Gray, is one of the smartest people in Japan besides him. Not Japan, I mean, and in Korea besides him. So used to like Japanese characters instead of Korean. Yeah, so Gray kind of spies on Wolf Kim and everyone else, and he's not too impressed. Quickly with Gray's martial arts, he's quickly being realized as one of the best martial artists in Korea. So Gray is actually kind of getting paid to participate in tournaments or do display martial arts. All then, Yu Jang actually not being picked on by some students of Gangak or Hyung Shin because they know about Gray, and they don't want to be fucked with. Now Gray is getting a title and already in the shuttle patch. As Big Ben is his henchman, they instantly shoot Gray up to number 3. And well, what they call him would basically just be the ogre Gray Yeon. Actually, wait, no. His name to fit Gray. Guess Gray's more and more his personality. Possibly figure this out. Yeah, but let's say he's just called the ogre. Yeah, so Gray is just called the ogre. And, well, he's called the ogre or what I oni. So, yeah. But now, Gray, as he just proceeds through life, well, I guess we're going to go to just Force Lee starting to gang up on him. Force Lee and Wolf Kyun tried to start to gang up. And, well, Force Lee needs help. And although she's pulling out all stops to actually, like, bring down Gray Yeon and Yu Jang Middle School. And actually willing to pay off Manuel to help. Well, not to help, but for help. So with that, Miles Ju is actually put in charge of his high school again, but Force Lee and him share equal power. So now, Gray is eventually cornered walking down the street with his friends, and he still does meet Rowan and everyone else. But yeah. So Gray eventually, and his friends are cornered. Well, Gray, Rowan, and almost are cornered, while Gerard, well, he learned a different martial art that Gray recommended. We sure said, I did say this. Capoeira and kickboxing are what Gerard's learning alongside Teddy Jin. Teddy Jin's pretty decent at Taekwondo as well. But Gerard's learning Taekwondo. Well, was learning. He dropped it because he wasn't able to use punches yet, and Gray didn't know that. Gerard told him backstory. Big Ben and Alex told him their backstory. He knows all their backstory basically. They do know his. I like if you guys wondering about the rooftop thing. The one Gray decided that Gray told Yujiro about his rooftop fear. Well, Yujiro beat the living hell out of him for it. Just honestly, Yujiro beat the living hell out of him. He's not going to let his disciple have such a cowardly fear. So yeah. But now, Gerard's still pointed by the same guys, but now it's a lot more of them. It's around 8 of, not 8, let's say around 15 of them. But Gerard proceeds to kick crap out of every single one of them, and, well, doesn't really care. And we'll take a single kick for all of them. Some of them just run away in fear, but only 2 of them did that, while the rest of them were just knocked out. And then Gerard chases down the 2 of them that ran off, and Gerard kicks crap out of them. And then we'd have Teddy Jin and Alex Go, who beat the living hell out of every single guy near them. That's part of Gangak or Hyung Shin, leaving Forrest Lee and Miles Ju in front of them. They fight them, and, well, Miles Ju is equal to Alex Go at this point. Kind of, actually. Not fully, but kind of. Like, they're both insanely physically strong, but that Miles Ju is a little stronger, while then Alex Go is a lot faster, and also has more technique and able to beat him. And then, well, Forrest Lee and Miles Ju are there. And Teddy Jin beats the living hell out of Miles Ju. Out of Forrest Lee. It's pretty easy for him. Then Big Ben is cornered by Robin and his gang. And it's not really it's pretty hard for them. Big Ben, he barely even starts sweating. He starts sweating because he didn't want to kill any of them. And it's kind of hard because he's insanely strong. So yeah. Well, Robin, all Big Ben really did is punch him in the face, full force, and almost knock out every single tooth and break his nose. But one thing that Robin compared Big Ben's fist to was basically a wrecking ball. Not rocks, not boulders, a fucking wrecking ball. But now, so Gray, Rowan, Eugene, versus Grape. That was his name, Grape. His name is really Grape. Well, his name's Sam, but people call him Grape. So Grape proceeds to rush at Gray, and, well, the moment he does try to go for a punch, Gray grabs his arm and then asks Rowan if he wants to handle him. Rowan did join their training group, and Eugene did join as well. And Rowan did learn how to use elbows in different ways, because Gray is teaching him Muay Thai, because that's what Yujiro's teaching him. So what Eugene does is just proceed to elbow him right in the chest, and as soon as Grape proceeds to fall down, Rowan knees him in the nose and knocks him out. Now Eugene proceeds to fight some of the guys, it's a little difficult, but not fully. Once Eugene starts getting hurt a little bit more, well, once Eugene and Rowan start getting a little hurt, There's a lot of guys left, but Gray just handles it himself. And well, it took less than 2 minutes. It ended in around 40 seconds. Yeah, so Gray wins, and Rowan actually sees that Gray is a monster. But now Gray and everyone else just head to Gray's cram school because they're gonna hang out there. And Gray basically runs the joint. Everyone is aware of Gray Yeon because Jimmy Bay, everybody got beat by someone, and people did do some digging. And Jimmy Bay did ridicule Helmet like he did in canon. So Helmet actually being pissed off a lot more because Jimmy Bay even got beaten a lot worse. Started to leak who did it, and it was Gray Yeon. Well, first said, Big Ben, but he works under Gray Yeon. So when they had Gray Yeon in their school, well, he's already known as the one who runs it. Seaweed hair to try to fight Gray, but let's say he's too ashamed to even be in the same class as Gray. He's scared. But yeah, so we go over to just Gray and cram school. Teachers are even afraid of him, so let's go to the roof with his friends. Well, teacher does tell him the assignments they're going to do, and Gray, he tells his friends how to do it. When suddenly Yujiro appears in front of them. He asks why Gray's been skipping training, when realizing that Gray and his friends are covered in a bit of blood. He says, who the hell did you fight that was weak enough to make you guys covered in this much blood? Gray explains the situation with the Union and everyone else. And Yujiro's like, oh, so I'm fighting that group, huh? Gray, do you want me to handle it, or should I do it? Because you guys seem like good fighters. I bet Yujiro is not concerned whatsoever about Gray. He just wants to see if they're worthy of a fight for him. Gray explains, even if Yujiro would fight them, it'd end in less than 10 seconds. Gray wants to do it himself. As well, he wants to take over Japan. He wants to take over Korea as the strongest delinquent. And Yujiro says, fine. And he looks at their friends, Gray's friends, asking, you guys want to train with me? Pretty bored. Gray then says, yeah, we should just train here for a bit at least. They all agree if this is Gray's master. Well, because this is Gray's master, not if, but because. So they proceed to train, and it's insane. So as they train, it's pretty impressive. But Gray seems to be the only one keeping up. And Yujiro does admit Gray's done a good job training his friends. It's just they can be stronger. So he does say that anytime they're at cram school and Yujiro's is in Korea, Gray can just call him over for training. And Gray agrees with this. But now, I'm pause real quick. So yeah, now all that's left is Wolf Kim and his school. Now Rowan did end up protecting that one kid, from Jared and his posse. Jared is a student at Gengak. If you guys haven't read Weak Hero, he's a big ass bully and he sucks shit. Yeah, but so when Rowan does protect them, then he actually walks up and starts pulling the kid away when someone grabs him, goes to slap Rowan across the face. In response, he elbows the kid hard enough to make his head splatter blood against the wall. And that's when, long story short, every single one of Gray's posse has a spot on the Turtle Patch rankings. After the whole thing with Force Lee and Miles Jew, everyone else, they all have their own spots. Eugene is the lowest rank. Let's say it's out of 50. Eugene's at 50. Rowan happens to be at 45. And today Jin is at 30. Well, Gray, when he said that what he did to everyone else and it ended in less than a minute, they don't want to know what he can do to everyone else. But they do say that they don't think of him as the biggest threat, so they don't send anyone else after him because they don't believe the rumors. So, yeah. But everyone doesn't know that, but is pretty impressed with Gray, so he keeps his spot as number 3. But Big Ben is at number 4, and Alex Goad, being Big Ben's former right-hand man, happens to be at number 5. So, yeah. But let's say it's some random miscellaneous strong people that are in front of Teddy Jin. But no one really knows that Forrest Lee and Miles Jew were handled by Alex Go. Well, everyone knows about Alex Go and Miles Jew, but no one knows about Forrest Lee and Teddy Jin. And Eugene is actually leaking that, so that's proceeding to get Teddy Jin right to the ranks to the point where he's almost in the top 10. Almost, not is. So yeah, now, I guess we'll go back to Rowan. So instantly Jared does recognize who Rowan is, and is shocked to see how he's handling every single one of his guys with a single arm. We get to Jared, and Jared offers to pay Rowan, but Rowan just breaks his jaw. And he looks at the kid that Jared's bullying. I'm pretty sure his name is, I think it's Teddy, but that might be someone else. His name was Toby, not Teddy. So Toby's questioning who Rowan is, and Rowan says he's just a random Yujang student, but they can call him Rowan M. Toby immediately doesn't know who Rowan is, and then starts talking about the school he goes to. And Rowan explains, him and basically every single school that's associated with Union are kind of at war right now. Now Toby thinks this is really cool, but does say he has to go to class. That's when Rowan then asks if he doesn't know this random chicken place. I can't pronounce it, but he asks if he knows it. And Toby says, yeah, his dad runs it. And this one he says, him and his friends are going to go there tonight, and he should eat dinner with them. Toby agrees and runs off, while Rowan is on the ground covered in blood. Rowan will walk off, and we go to that night. Well, Toby and the Yujang posse are kind of just chilling out, as well. These students did try to make amends with them, but in reality, it didn't really work. So Gray and his friends, plus Toby, begin eating. And while eating, Jared's son and his group appears with Wolf Kyum. This point is basically every single fighter who respects Wolf Kyum in Gangak versus Gray Yeon. Because Wolf Kyum does say that he doesn't think Gray is as strong as he should be. Well, doesn't think Gray is as strong as he's rumored to be. And he does think that they're all just kind of just pussies, so doesn't really care. Lachance Big Ben gets up alongside Alex, and then says they'll handle this. When Rowan looks at the rest of them, saying he'll handle them. He has beef with a few of them. Now Toby's a little nervous, but Ben says if there's any damage, he'll pay for it. And that's when Gray says no, he'll pay for it. His master gives him a lot of money. Yujiro does give Gray a lot of money because Gray needs training equipment besides random animals he finds in the woods. So Gray proceeds to watch as Big Ben and Alex and Rowan proceed to manhandle every single person in front of them. And it works out pretty well. Big Ben versus Wolf Kyum is not even a challenge. Wolf Kyum goes for hits, and Big Ben takes them all like a champ, barely even being bruised or scraped. And what he does is to proceed to grab Wolf Kyum by the head, and proceed to be living hell out of him until he's unconscious, and when Big Ben punches him back into consciousness, and for the first time, Wolf Kyum begs for mercy. But Big Ben stopped after around 5 minutes of blood being splattered everywhere. Then everyone else, Rowan handles them himself, with Alex Go helping as well. Yeah, that concludes the Gengak arc. Now Jake Ji, that arc. For sure, kind of just starts off with Jake Ji reading Two Piece, and then we're officially introduced to Dean Kwan and Timothy when Timothy is trailing the Yunjang posse. But he's kind of scared to at this point. But him and Dean are doing it because they're supposed to meet Jake, but they do see him wandering around, and they're all noticeably a bit more muscular. So yeah, and while they're walking around, Gray is kind of just like he senses Timothy and Dean, but so does Big Ben and everyone else. And by the way, at this point, the only person in the group that cannot handle Dean Kwan is quite literally only Eugene. Dean and Rowan are equals. Big Ben, Alex Go, Teddy Jin, Gerard Jin. They're all going to manhandle him like he was abused. But none of them, except for, one person that can't handle him would be Rowan, Eugene, and Teddy and him are kind of equals. Gerard, Alex Go, and Big Ben can abuse him. They're pretty damn strong. If Big Ben did fight Donald Na, we didn't know he's insanely stronger than everyone else in the Union. So I could say he may be an equal, but yeah. So now we go to when they kind of what was I gonna say? When they confront Dean Kwan and Timothy. Immediately, Gray sends out Rowan and Eugene, and they confront them. Now, immediately, Dean just says that they weren't doing anything, they're kind of walking by, and that Rowan's being pretty fucking weird. But in response, Rowan does say he knows that they're being followed and demands to know why. But Dean says that they don't owe them anything and can't demand anything of them. So in response, Rowan would go in for a knee, but Dean blocks it, being elbowed immediately right in the jaw. Being pushed back, and then they proceed to end up fighting everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but Dean, Rowan, begin fighting with Timothy rushing at Eugene, thinking of him as a nerd, so Eugene punches him out like a light. And that's pretty damn easy. So this leads to like just Timothy falling over with cracked glasses and a pretty bruised up face. Well, then Dean and Rowan are fighting, and eventually Rowan would win due to having more stamina. But Teddy falls over eventually. Not Teddy. Rowan falls over eventually because he's pretty bruised up. He had more stamina, but Dean hit harder. So now we go to we go over to I don't remember much. So we're going over to the fight between the posse of Yun Chen. This is what I was listening to next. Yun Chen doesn't beat up the random thugs, including Royce, and the other guy. But he doesn't really fight them because they're not around. They kind of give up being thugs after being manhandled by a single child. So they go up to that, and then we have Yun Chan, who kind of just tricks Grape still in a meeting with them, and then we're going to go to the encounter between the Jake Ji posse versus the Gray Yeon posse. This time when Teddy does bump into Naksung, well, he beats the living hell out of every single one of them, but doesn't come out without a few bruises. So he sits down and just rests for a bit. Well, Naksung is just amazed that some of the strong goes to Yu Jang. And does ask if he's the strongest one there, and is he Gray Yeon? But he says, no, he's actually the weakest one of the weaker ones in the posse. And Naksung realizes if he's one of the weaker ones, doesn't want to know what the rest will do to Jake Ji. He begins running off himself, worried about what the real Gray Yeon will do. But what the little information that is provided about Gray Yeon and from Teddy Jin says if Jake Ji is on their level, or at least on his level, Jake Ji will probably be murdered in seconds. It's not even going to be funny. So saying like someone runs off as fast as possible, looking for Jake. All we go to Yun Chen, Dean, Timothy, and Grape. Grape immediately tries to forfeit, while Dean says they can't be that strong, assuming that he got beat up by Rowan just out of luck. This time, Rowan did get a little bit better at Muay Thai, and actually able to manhandle Dean pretty easily, because Dean a lot slower than Rowan. So he beats up. So Rowan is Rowan beats up Dean, and then Grape is looked at by Gray, and immediately just bows down, apologizing for getting in their way. And Yun Chen doesn't know who they are. So it's like Gray thinking that Grape and Dean got weaker. But the moment Yun Chen gets close to Gray just slams his head into the ground, and he's passed out. But then Timothy just walks away, saying he has no part of this. Well, Eugene says no. He says no. You called me a nerd the other day, so you owe me for that. The first beating wasn't enough. And Timothy turns around and starts accepting his beating. And then now we have Jake Ji versus Ben Park, or Big Ben, whatever you want to call him. So eventually, when Jake Ji calls out Big Ben, Ben walks out, and Jake Ji goes on an attack. But as he does go to attack, he's beating up Jake Ji like it's nothing. Jake Ji doesn't know this is no easy feat, but can't help it. This is something that he has no control over. So eventually, Big Ben does end up breaking every single bone in Jake Ji's body. Well, not every single one, but a few of his ribs are broken, both his arms, and one of his legs. He's coughing up blood, and is just done forever. Teddy eventually walks up, asking Ben, did you murder Jake Ji, or is he okay? Big Ben points at Jake, saying, he's not dead yet. This makes Teddy laugh, saying, yet. That's the key word. If he broke too many ribs, he might die. Eventually, the ambulance is called, and Big Ben is arrested because he does say that Jake Ji started the fight first, and he just ended it. So they allow it to happen. So then we go to, what was it? So now we have, what was it? The Mocha Duo arc. They're announced, and actually, well, Man's Jews got back in Union already, but they start welcoming like armies of schools want to join but are too weak usually. But now they're kind of accepting armies. They need to beat Grey Yeon and Yu Jang. But instead of calling a full-out attack will not work. Kids at Yu Jang are getting cocky and actually getting stronger through fights of random students. So, no matter what, Yu Jang keep getting stronger. And if they somehow encounter the Grey Yeon posse, they'll be murdered. So yeah. So I'm gonna go to just the Mocha Duo fight. They're meeting with Manuel, and well, Grey on his posse. They use money that they get from Yujiro to buy the small apartment complex. They got a lot of money plus Grey. Like I said before, Grey participates in martial art competitions because his videos going viral on Instagram. So they already made a lot of money, and well, he's able to buy that small apartment complex, saying he's gonna be a hangout for kids at his school. Well, to do activities, well, the clubs at his school, not like just random delinquents, but the clubs at his school. And well, Gray is offered to make a martial arts club, and he does do that, but only him and his friends are in it. Because if Gray's the leader, they don't want to get beaten up or spar with him at all. So, yeah. So just some clubs hang out at school. Not at school, but outside of school at the small apartments at the small mall, and they're just gonna do their thing. And the cooking club happens to just make their food. So yeah. Well, Mocha Duo barges in. They do beat up a few of the students, but they do say that Alex Go and Georgian are upstairs, and if they ever see them, they will die. So now we have Mocha Duo going upstairs to look for Georgian and Alex Go. Some Manuel guys do walk in as well, and the club students are already hiding because Grey Yeon does say we have a target. They have a target on their back from the Union. Those recommend that they hide if some guys start breaking in. So they do just that. As they hide, well, Georgian actually upstairs, she's setting a punching bag and punching it full force. And let me find the guy's name, the guy who punches in Mocha Duo. This young monk is the guy that punches. Young monk and Dongha. So this young monk goes up after Gerard, seeing him punching. But then when he walks in, he doesn't say a word because he doesn't really speak. He sees Gerard punch a hole clean through a punching bag, and immediately feels some fear because he can't even do that. Gerard turns around, seeing him in the reflection of a window, saying, I'm guessing you're from the Union. Young monk rushes at him, not saying a word. In response, Gerard punches him in the face, full force, and punches his head through a concrete wall. Now, Yonga wasn't even in the room with Alex Yo when he heard the cement crack, or the concrete crack, and this young monk down with his head through the wall, bleeding everywhere. And Georgian not even scathed. And that's when Gerard says we can be handled by Alex. I'm finished setting up the gym. I will grade a new punching bag. So then Seung-ha, well, he didn't not Seung, yeah, Dong-ga. He noticed one specific thing about about Gerard. Well, his body is covered in muscle. It looks like pure muscle. And that's kind of this thing with every single member of the Grey Yeon posse, especially Grey. Well, he's the one with the most muscle because he's kind of like a meathead, but he's not like insanely muscle to the point where his body is just full muscle. But physically, he looks a lot like Bang. Really, that's really it. I chose Bang because he has white hair as well. As a badass, but I would not choose Garo. Not yet, at least. But yeah. So Gray's the most muscular one, and is slowly getting a little bit taller so his body fits his muscles. This body's starting to realize that, oh yeah, he's getting into muscle to the point where we can't keep up, so we're gonna get bigger. So Gray's getting a lot more muscle and a lot taller, to the point where he's already 6 foot. So yeah. But now we have who was it? Who was I thinking of? Oh yeah, so Dongha walks in the room where Alex is, and sees Alex punching the air full force, and Alex just repeatedly jumping back and forth, punching and just basically doing boxing. Now, Dungar wants to catch him off guard, going for a kick, but Alex just grabs his foot, saying, "Sing attacks are for cowards." Now, Dungar tries to pull his foot away, but Alex just squeezes as hard as he can and breaks it. So as soon as Dungar's foot is broken, Alex proceeds to pin him down and punch him in the face, so he begs for mercy. That's what they all do. Because, well, that's really it. So when he begs for mercy, Alex stops, and they win. So yeah, now once that's complete, well, there's not much left in the manhwa. Not manhwa, I mean the webtoon. Well, this is a manhwa, but there's not much left for me to say about in the webtoon, because I can't find anything else about it. So, yeah. Now, this part would end, and, well, this movie ends. Well, first movie ends. Now, when there's more parts come out that are being, well, more large parts, I'll make the second movie. Yeah, so until then, Gray would not go on the wild goose chase for Stefan or Steven or Stefan. Yeah, he doesn't want the wild goose chase for him because Stefan's mother keeps him updated on how he is doing. But Gray doesn't want to see him until he's strong enough to beat Yujiro. Not beat Yujiro, but at least to be the strongest in Korea. But Yujiro won't leave because of that, so yeah. So now let's I'll end this part here. Bye.